Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Some of you may remember the Bradford Pear flower pot I turned a couple of months ago, I guess. Before I turned that piece, I cut this off of it. I wanted two flat ends, and this was one of the ends, so I just cut it off of there. And I saved it like I save everything, which is why my shop is such a mess. And I came out here to the shop today just to look around and see what's next. What could I possibly turn today? I like to do that. It just, it's just nice to be surprised. Surprise myself. And this piece was sitting there and I picked it up and I thought, well, what can I do with that? And I thought of something. It's going to be a trivet. You take something hot off the stove, or you put it in a bowl and the bowl gets hot and you don't want to set it on your nicely finished dining room table, so you set it on a trivet. I did turn one, it's been 2-3 years ago now. This is going to be much simpler than that one was. This is going to be like a 10-minute piece. What I have here is a nice smooth bottom. This is going to be the bottom. This will be the top. I'm going to glue this with double-faced tape. This is called Sure Tape. I've used it many times with good luck. And I'm going to put that Sure Tape on this piece of plywood, which I've used before. It has a hole there for my woodworm screw. So I'm going to cover this surface with Sure Tape. I'm going to let it set up a little bit. Then I'm going to put this against that with the Sure Tape in the middle. And that's what's going to hold it. It'll be on the woodworm screw. We're going to flatten it off, and then we're going to put some beads and coves on there. And it'll look good, and put a finish on it, and it's going to take about 10 minutes. So let's get to it. You can also use hot glue. If you don't have any of this tape, hot glue would work great. Just around the edges though, not underneath. Now the hard part is peeling this off of here. And I probably won't even show you that because it's so frustrating. You just got to pull up a little bit of that blue and leave the tape. Now I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm just going to try and center it as best I can. It's not that important. It's an irregular piece anyway. It just so happens that it's just about the right length. And I'm doing the width right now. And I'm just feeling so that I have about an equal overhang on both sides here. And then I'm just going to press it down and we'll get it mounted up and then let it set on the lathe for a couple of minutes. This is just a piece of hardboard. And it'll just end up making the screw a little bit shorter. It'll still have plenty of grip. This is a 1/4 inch. This is 3/4 of an inch, but this is more like 5/8. So it would have not seated properly. And then I'll just bring up my tailstock and we'll apply some pressure. And I put this cone center on my live center. This is a one-way live center. And it comes with this extra cone. So I'm just going to bring that up here. And because this is not flat, I'm just going to take a wedge and place it in there, lock down my tailstock, and then apply some pressure. And I'm going to let that set up for about 10 minutes. So I'll be back after that's set and we'll start turning. Because I wasn't expecting to turn anything like this, this is all just by the seat of my pants. None of this is pre-planned. I don't really know what I'm going to do. I have an idea, but I don't know specifically what I'm going to do, except that I'm going to start with a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. The lathe is going to be spinning at 750 RPM, mask and face shield on. Okay, it's all clean. And it's pretty dang flat. I thought I might try this tool. Last time I used a carbide tool, I think, for this. Now I just want to lay out some even lines here. So I've got my compass. You can barely see the little hole there for the center. And I've set this at 2 inches because that gets me about as close as I want to get to the edge. And then I'm going to reduce this by what? I haven't quite figured that out. 1/4 inch? Maybe a 1/2 inch, huh? Let me do that. I'll be right back. I think I'm going to go with 3/8 of an inch less. And then I'll probably hollow out the center somewhat so this is lower than this will be, and like that. And then maybe we'll cut some away from the edge out here. So these 3 places here will be raised up and everything else will be lower. That's the idea. Let's see if it works. Trying to figure out what tool I wanted to use. I think I'm just going to use this point tool. This is just a cheap screwdriver from Harbor Freight. I think it was probably $3 or something. It's a 3/8 inch shaft, and I just ground 3 flats on it. I think that will allow me to make the beads. I don't know. Like I said, not pre-planned. Let's see what happens. Well, you know, I don't think I could have hoped for anything better than that. Pretty easy, huh? Now I want to lower my tool rest a little bit, and I just want to take a little bit of material away from the outside here. And a little bit from the center. And so now we've got 3 beads, and actually this one right here too. Those are all raised up above this and above this. So that'll spread the heat out. That's so smooth it just about doesn't even need sanding, but I'll sand it anyway. But it's amazing. I'm impressed. You see, anybody could do this, right? Good job, Phil. Whoa. I'm impressed, buddy. I know. I could even put a little decoration in the middle there. I don't do this often enough to even remember how to use this dang thing. I've got a big one, kind of like this, and then I've got this smaller one. I don't know. I don't know how to use it. I turned the speed down to about 500 RPM. I'm just going to poke this in there and see what happens. Well, it's not much, is it? Let's get rid of that and try a different tool. I may not have the angle right on that anyway. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Let me get a different tool. Let's try this tool. Wagner texturing tool. Part of the problem is this wood is really hard. The other part of the problem is I don't know how to use it. Well, it made about the same kind of swirl. All right, let's go with the swirl. I'm just going to outline it as if I could see it. Well, it's very subtle, but it's there. That was probably a mistake. Probably wasn't needed, but it's there. Okay, let's sand it up a little bit and get some finish on it. Now you could sand this with little strips of sandpaper, or even the little 2-inch discs, anything, you know, any kind of sandpaper. You could do that if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm going to use my Sandoflex. This will get down inside there. It'll get the flat part. It'll get the bark. It's going to get it all. So I'm going to start at 180 grit and I'll work up to 320. And let me put my mask on. I'll show you what that looks like. Lay the spinning in reverse at about 325. Like I said, it was so smooth it really doesn't need much sanding, but I'll do a little bit anyway. So up through 320, then I'll bring you back and we'll put some finish on there. See you in a bit. As with the other trivet that I did, I'm going to use Danish Oil. I'll show you a link to that first trivet so that you can see how that one went. It was a little more complicated. It wasn't difficult, but it was more complicated than this. Took me a little longer. Now, of course, I'm going to have to brush some of this. And then when this is all done, then we'll pull it off of here and I'll just do the back side. And I'm just going to dip this little brush into the can here and brush the bark. Yeah, that bark looks pretty cool now. So I'm going to let this set on here for about a half an hour, put another coat on, then wipe it all off, and we'll pull it off of that block of wood and see what we got. Quick and easy, last minute gift idea. Okay, see you in a little bit. I do have a little bit of glue residue on there, so I'm just going to use some denatured alcohol, wipe that off. I'll finish it the same way I did the top side. So I'll be back. Well, I think that was probably the quickest and easiest of my quick and easy turnings that I've done. And I think this right here might be the star of the show. It was a Phillips screwdriver, round shank. All I did, I'm sorry, if you want to know how I did it, there's no science involved. I simply took it over to the grinder. I held it at what looked like a proper angle, and I ground away one side, and I turned it some. I didn't try and see if it was 120 degrees exactly or not. I just turned it a little bit and ground another flat, and then I turned it a little bit more and ground another flat, and this is what we have. And that made making those grooves so simple, just simple. And it allowed me to round over the tops, just simple. So make yourself one of those, and then you can do that. Simple. Really, really easy. I think that was the most fun, surprising part of this for me. I didn't know it was going to be that easy. Just a slim little cutoff of a log, and you could make these all day long and probably sell them for $8 or something. I don't know. Anyway, or a great gift, which works out for me because I need it. And this kind of finish has to dry for a while, has to cure. So I've got 10 days till Christmas. I think we're in good shape that way. I think it'll be all cured and ready to rock. And I can give it to my gift recipient, and it will be appreciated, and it was fun to do. So there you go. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.